Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is October 14th of 2018, and it is 6 a.m. in the morning. Wanted to update you a little bit on what's been going on. I, I'm back running Windows 10. I was running Linux Cinnamon, and I am now running Windows 10, and I've put on, so it's dual boot, I put on Ubuntu 18.0, whatever that is, on there. Running my did have two monitors side by side, and then I've gone back to my 4K LG monitor. I don't want to show you that, right? Let's show you this. Give you a little idea of when I made this video what was going on in the world, because you may be watching this video later on, someday down the road. So I've got the 4K monitor, but I'm not using. When I boot up into Ubuntu, it goes to 4K monitor, and that's fine. When I boot up into Windows 10 now, I can't get it to go to 4K, but I was able to before. But I think it's the driver, NVIDIA driver. Because I remember one of the things that got downloaded from Windows 10 was a new driver or a better driver or something. For my NVIDIA card is old, so I think that's probably the problem. I don't really want to go into 4K on this monitor at this time, but who knows tomorrow. So let's see what else has been going on. I'm using the 4K monitor. It's an LG, really nice. One of the nice things about it is it's the first monitor that I've had that I could raise up and down, and I like that. For years I have been, now I guess I can show you this. Seems like forever. Well, I guess it says I purchased this in 2016. I'm wondering if I had a single port before, or if this is the first one I ordered. So I had two voice over IP phone lines going with this for years, and I had a little bit of difficulty from time to time that I couldn't figure out. So when I decided to make some changes the other day to my setup, I found out that I had 3 accounts, and 2 of them had the same phone number. So there was some type of, But anyway, I wanted to do away with that problem. So I decided to take one of the services that I was using and bring over my Google Voice number, which I've had forever. Well, I was one of the people when Google announced you could get phone numbers and they were going to have Google Voice. I was one of the people who, at first you had to apply and maybe you'd be accepted. And I applied, so whenever they started. I've been using Google Voice for years, but I didn't use it with this, or maybe I did for a while in the beginning. But so I decided to make a change and decided to do away with the other numbers that I had and all of the services except for one. And I got for my ex-wife, who we share this apartment, and with my son also kicks in on the rent and stuff, my grown son. So the three of us share this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. So I decided just to get her a $10 line with the cable company, just to simplify things, because the only reason I had these 2 lines was sort of for her, and she wasn't getting voicemail, and things turned out that it was because I had 3 accounts set up, voice over IP accounts with 2 different companies. So I got the phone to take care of her. She has now through the cable. And so then I decided to set this up with my Google phone number. And I thought it would be really, really easy. Well, I think it would have been easy, because I just watched, after I started into this project, I watched a couple YouTube videos, and there was a YouTube video of a guy, and I wish I could remember it because I'd put the link to it, saying, here's the way to do this without going through a whole bunch of stuff and without having to pay any money. And I ended up with one of those accounts. I paid for a year, I think about less than $60 for a year, which at the time I was happy. But if I'd have found out, I think I could have just easily switched over my Google number to this and not have to. So it turns out the switch I made required, the company contacted me and said, things have changed and you need to go through, and here are the steps. You know, at first I tried the easy things that I thought, and then I get this zip file. Now, the tech people were really nice. I haven't talked to them on the phone. Yeah, I did talk to them about another problem back, but very nice. And they're in the United States. Their tech support apparently is in the United States, everything else. But, so they sent me this. Okay, I think that's already open. They sent me these steps. And I'm not sure you're beginning to see. I think I spent 2 hours messing with this. I knew it wasn't going to work for me, because I knew that I would be bound someplace to do something wrong. And I think down here with the SIP credentials is one of the places that I did something wrong. Let's see, this is step 7. And here's the other one. When I entered in this code to paste in script, when I entered it in here for the digital map, here at the end, got a semicolon, red. And so I checked to make sure that I had copied it exactly and that I didn't leave something off or whatever, and still had the red. And I knew then, okay, this is, let's see, this is step 8. Okay, that was the last step. So it's well stopped working. You know, I get errors and all types of stuff which I didn't get before. Anyway, I have had the Google Voice number. You can get a free Google phone number. Google Voice you go to. And like I said, I got it years ago. Never had to pay anything at all for it. But in order to transfer it over, I think I paid $15. So finally they made some money. So I transferred over to use with this service. And then it sounded like it was 2 hours doing it. Maybe it was only an hour. But if you followed my videos, you know I positively hate doing that type of stuff. I think a computer should you plug it in and it should, of course you got to enter your username and whatever. That should work. You should not have to do all that type of stuff. Shouldn't have to be, I just was the victim of the Google or the 1809 Windows thing that crashed my hard drive and I had to reformat. You just shouldn't have to go through this type of stuff. And then also anyway, I disconnected. This has been connected and running for years and years. And I just disconnected it. But I did apply when I transferred over the Google number. Then immediately, the Google Voice site says, "Do you want another?" So I went ahead and applied for one. So I have another, and I'm wondering. I think that maybe I may try that. I think if I hook that back up, I think all I have to do is just go on a choice of things that pop up. I think I just put Google Voice instead of the other, and I think things will work. But after spending, which I feel like was 2 hours the other day, I'm just not in a mood to go into the settings or anything. I have at all times, a list of things that I want to get. I love playing with technology and all of this kind of stuff, and I've been doing it since at least 1982, and then before that, 1982 is when I got my first computer in 1978, and then I went online with a BBS in 1982. Had to write my own BBS program in BASIC, which I enjoyed doing. But even before then, I was into communications over, radio and shortwave listening and tracking Earth satellites when they finally put Earth satellites up, Spanish counting stations, Radio Swan. I hosted a convention of DXers, radio hobbyists in Kansas City, Missouri, back at the Muehlbach Hotel, a long time ago. Always been into this kind of stuff, but I don't like anymore having to. I just want to turn the computer on and use the computer. Maybe I should have gone with Apple computers a long time ago. But anyway, I like the toys, and I spend way too much money on them, money that I really can't afford to do, but I do it anyway. And I don't even have to skip a meal. My cell phone, and I don't know when I got it, I could enter in here and Amazon would tell me, but I've had this blue cell phone for a while, and it's worked really well, and I don't use the phone. I very rarely make a phone call. I'm just not into not into talking on the telephone, partially because I have hearing loss in both ears, a lot of hearing loss in both ears. So I've had this other blue phone, which has worked great for me. I don't do a lot of talking, but I do have it with me all the time. I control my Google Wi-Fi with it, check the weather. I can even make some ham radio connections through this, do APRS tracking, and do all kinds of things. It's worked out well until, it still works out well. But recently, because I think they keep, not them, but the Android people, keep making their, and I think I have at least 3 gig. I might have 4 gig. Can't remember. But they keep updating the size of the apps, keep getting, bigger. And Blue has had a bad reputation, or they share that reputation with a lot of others, that they just don't push out. When you get your cell phone, whatever the Android version is on it, that's what you get. They don't upgrade it. But they came out with this new BLU ViVo 11 Plus. And it's a 6.2 display, as you can see. Has 6 gigabytes RAM. Anyway, it's a great, and it comes with Android 8.1 Oreo, and they say it will be upgraded to Android 9 Pie. I don't think anybody believes them. But anyway, I've had a few little glitches of things for the first time, things not working, the way it should. And I think it's because the operating system gets upgraded on the world, but it doesn't get upgraded here on this cell phone. And so I've been sitting here for months thinking, I think I want to go with this camera. But then I was thinking of going with the new iPad tablet, iPad, what do they call it? And this thing here, it says it works with Google Voice. Maybe, I don't know if I'm up to. I think it will. I think if I just hook this up and just put in the Google Voice, put in my ID, and click the box that's Google Voice. So I may do that later today. Oh my God. So back to the phone. This looks awful small. Oh, okay, there it is. So got that notch at the top, which has really good cameras. I'd like to have it in gold, but I don't see it listed here. So it does fast charging with the Q system. With the wireless charger QI It's only $15, but I used enough of my credit. Didn't want to use any more credit. So I'll just hold off and order that later on. So it really looks good, and it's had great YouTube reviews. I'll put a link if you want to check it out on Amazon. If you order Amazon with that link, I get a commission. This month I'm getting, I think, $1.88 commission for not for this, but my total commission from that will be. I really don't care. I don't care whether things have a narrow bezel or not, because when I'm trying to do things, you know, my fingers go on it and it goes to some place, and I don't mind having a fat, big, heavy-duty cell phone or tablet or whatever. I bought that NVIDIA tablet that was built like a tank, and my son bought it from me. I really liked it. I didn't get much of a chance to use it when I bought it. He liked it, and I got a chance to play with it for a day or two, and then he bought it from me. Dual cameras. Let's see, 128 gigabyte storage, 6 gigabytes of RAM. I'm not sure if I care about face unlock or not. I have no problem with the fingerprint thing, and especially where it's located on this and it's located on the other one. It says here, upgradable to Android Pie. BLU assures the ViVo 11 will be upgraded to the next Google OS, Android Pie. Users will be downloaded the latest security patch over the air. So I should get it, today is Sunday, I should get it Tuesday. And I'm using AT&T. I'm using AT&T with this. So I'm hoping that I can just pop out the SIM and the micro SD card and pop them into the new phone, and I hope I have no problems. I don't want to deal with tech support. So, back to the news. The thing there in Turkey with the reporter going into the Saudi Arabia embassy, and it appears they had a team of, 7? Saudi Arabia sent a team of, it appears, of course we don't know all the details, but some of that may change, but he was on their hit list for sure, and he knew he was on their hit list. But I guess he thought he was safe going. He wouldn't have gone to Saudi Arabia, but I guess and he was a Turkish citizen, so I guess he thought he was safe. He was a news reporter for I forget which one it is here in the United States. But he went in there he was concerned, I'm sure. But they had, if what we're hearing is correct, the Saudi embassy there informed all their employees, well, all the local employees, all the people they didn't need, take the day off. And anyway, a team of 7, I think it was, flew in from Saudi Arabia, a hit team, flew in, and anyway, he went in to the embassy, and the team arrives about an hour later or less, at the airport. They go to the embassy. They're in there for an hour and a half or so. They go back to the airport and fly back to Saudi Arabia. And about the same time, a crew of another 7 people from Saudi Arabia arrive. Apparently they're the team that cuts up the body and disposes of it or whatever, and then they're there for however long that took, which wasn't very long, and they leave. And the embassy admits, they didn't want to, but they admit that he did arrive, but they said he left, but there's no video of him leaving. Oh, he left, I guess, but in pieces. Saudi Arabia they spend billions and billions of dollars here in the United States, one on military weapons that we're very happy to sell to them because it makes a lot of employment over here. They also spend a lot of money bribing our politicians. Remember the pictures of when the king of Saudi Arabia came to Texas to meet with President Bush at his ranch here, and President Bush and the king were holding hands and walking around, and they kissed each other. Also remember during 9/11, all aircraft except for military aircraft in the United States were grounded. Everything was grounded. Nothing could fly. Yet the Saudi Arabia was permitted to fly aircraft around the United States when everything else was grounded and pick up their royal families and their other people and take them back to Saudi Arabia. So, and Saudi Arabia has such a terrible record of abuse of women and other people and meddling in things, causing more problems. And I don't know what in the world. And then we unfortunately have Trump as president. I'd feel better if we had anybody else, even Bush, as president at the time like this. Because with Trump, you just don't know how he's going to handle the situation. Well, we do know he's going to handle it incorrectly. He's going to shoot his mouth off. He's going to make statements without doing the background and getting all his ducks lined up in order. So, I mean, I sure don't know what to do, except we need to, so many times we've been on the wrong side of things. We've done the wrong things through stupidity and because of bribery from governments or, but, like I said, I don't know what to do. I just wish we had someone else who was president at this time, because I don't feel at all secure about what he will do, and that what he does is the right thing. I'm not sure if Turkey or if the United States or if, it would seem to me, of course, we have to know what the intelligence is. We don't know that yet. I mean, as ordinary folks. I think, what we have to do is say, apparently we know the names of these people, who they were and what their jobs were. The 15 or so who flew in, the hit team, to murder a man and cut his body up. I think we need to say, these people need to be arrested and turned over to Turkey. Now, Turkey doesn't have a great record of, but that these 15 people need to be arrested and turned over by Saudi Arabia. Of course, what will happen, maybe is happening now. I think Saudi Arabia may be, these people may be accidentally falling out of windows, or something may be happening to them. But I think, these people should, the demand should be made. You will turn these people over. There again, I hate turning them over, but I'm not sure we, need to be turned over to Turkish authorities. You need to, Saudi Arabia, you need to explain in detail, exactly what happened and at what level it went, but we know it went to the king apparently is old and disabled, and I'm not sure how well he's functioned. The prince, this prince, Saudi Arabia has royal families, a royal family that is, and apparently this guy here on the screen is responsible. Anyway, these 15 people have to be surrendered. We want a complete, of course, he's going to deny, oh no, it was sort of like when Bush was in office, and Bush, the Bush administration was selling arms to Iran and lying to Congress because it was illegal to sell arms to Iran, and then taking the money that they got and funding the Contra in Honduras, I forget now anyway, in South America, and they were forbidden and had gone before Congress repeatedly and said, no, we're not doing that, no, not doing that. Then when it came, out, it was like, oh no, President Reagan had no idea this was going on. Yes, there was an operation in the basement of the White House, and a Marine colonel was in charge of it, but nobody else knew, just the Marine colonel and the people, but the president didn't, so it's going to be the same situation here. Oh, the prince knew nothing about it. Some low-ranking person was in charge of the whole thing. How terrible. But anyway, I think the demand should be made. They're to be turned over, the 15 people be turned over, a complete, and an apology by, the Saudi government and their declaration, swearing on the Quran or whatever, that this, of course it will, but nothing like this will ever happen again, period. But then Saudi Arabia, the other crown princes and whatever he needs to have an accident. Maybe, I don't know if he goes out horse riding or whatever, but something just needs to, something needs to happen to him. And if they don't cooperate 100%, then the world needs to put sanctions on them. United States would need, should freeze all of their money, freeze all of their assets. Other countries should do the same thing. I mean, we should just go, airlines not be allowed to fly in or out of Saudi Arabia. Just go full bore on this. Now, of course, Putin in Russia is doing the same. He's having maybe not 15, well, we don't know, maybe not 15 people going to the UK, but somebody going to the UK and poisoning people, and in his own country, news reporters and so, yeah, I really don't know what to do, but this is bad, and this is why when we elect a president, we really, here in the United States, we really need to pick competent, good people. And I can understand Trump wasn't the first, but Trump was the first to be elected. Because I thought about for a while, what was the guy, Hunt, that ran from Texas. And I was thinking a little bit about, I knew he wasn't competent, although he was a good businessman. I mean, a real good businessman, unlike Trump. But for a little bit, I thought, yeah, let's just, the things are so bad. Let's elect this guy. He'll be at the White House, and he'll say, drive me to the Department of Education or drive me to the Internal Revenue Service. He'll get out and walk in, and he'd go through the building. And actually, he couldn't do it because they're civil service. But he'd go through the building and see somebody sitting at a computer not doing something. He'd say, fire that person, fire that person, fire. He would do stuff like that. And I thought, that's what we probably need. Then, of course, I came to my senses and didn't vote for him. But I thought about it. Well, later on, with Trump, there's people that were hurting, good, working class people that were hurting, and they were just fed up with the bribery, all this type of stuff, and they went for Trump because of that. But you can't have somebody that's dishonest, incompetent, and mentally unbalanced as President of the United States. And that's what we have now. And you have all of these situations that you don't know what is going to come up, and you need somebody who is competent to handle those kinds of situations. And we don't have that now, so that's worrisome. And so I don't know. I think Trump said something about, what did he say? Well, things might get really, really bad, or this is really, really, I watched the video. Let's see. The guy was just convicted, but he got off. I don't know what the sentence was, but he got off. I saw the video. I think it was in Texas, by the way. Here it is. I'm going to hit the mute button here. A boy, black, I guess I can't say boy, a black young man missed the school bus and got lost walking. And so he went out and knocked on the door of this house in the past direction.
I knocked on her door a few times, and she came down yelling at me, like, before I could say anything. And she thought I was trying to break into her house. I was trying to explain to her that I wanted to get directions to go to my school. I put my hands up, I don't really remember, and I started to run. I looked back behind me, I saw him aiming at me, then I turned back. I heard the gunshot.
Why didn't you try to find out why Brennan was on the porch?
The scene again was so chaotic. I was concerned for my wife. I was concerned that somebody was coming through the door.
I was afraid. I was worried. Shoot a shotgun at somebody. I think you were trying to kill him. Anyway, I really didn't want to get into Anyway, I guess I will let you know how this, I believe with my device here.
Postman is stealing tomatoes? Like, what's going on? Or if I log in from a computer I don't normally log into or whatever, I get a thing here, a text message, SMS text message pops up, and
Theo, is he okay?
yes,
Give me a rock! We were even scared to the fact that if something else was going to come down and take it, you know, take him, take my uncle, take our straps, take, you know, take everything.